Hey everybody, it's Tim Hinton, the beast of the marching arts, and we are talking to Matt Harloff tonight. Matt, how are you?
Hello, beast of the marching arts. So good to see you. I love that poster in the back. Great to be here. Mary, great to see you.
You too.
Beast, you the man.
So Dr. Mary White, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Tim. I'm so glad greatness is continuing tonight. We've had so many great guests on the podcast, and tonight is no different. I know everyone knows who he is, so I'm not sure about an introduction that you have.
I really wasn't even planning an introduction,
Right.
Matt. I can't believe anybody wouldn't know who you are. Actually, I didn't even think about that, Mary. That's so interesting. Of course, director of bands at Avon High School. You've been there how long now? A long time.
At Avon, I'm approaching 30.
Wow.
So 27, I think, or maybe 28. One of those. Yep.
Yeah. And Mary, when I had the great privilege of having a conversation with that sort of whole staff a few years ago, and that's one of those things. The staffs that stay together and they're all really talented and they just feed off each other's talent, enthusiasm, and passion. And Matt, that's clearly what's been happening at Avon for all these years. So congrats on all that.
Well, I'm part of a great team, so you're right. You have to have a great team. But I'll kind of back up a little bit, and I'm actually surprised. I never thought I would. Avon's been my only job, in terms of being a band director. When my dad was a band director, and I went to like 3 different schools. So because he got different jobs and stuff. So, I just thought that was going to kind of be what it was. But, little did I know I'd hit the lottery ticket right away. And, and my whole career will be at Avon. So it's pretty awesome. And
but you're at Avon. Why would you, where can you go that's going to be a better situation than where you, really?
There's certainly, there's no doubt about that. I'm certainly blessed to be at Avon, but when I started, you didn't know it was going to be
sure
what it ended up becoming. And so, all it was like Susie and I wanted to be around Indianapolis, and there it was. And we got to know Jay Webb, and we found our home for our whole career. So I've been a director over half my life here at Avon. So yeah.
Wow.
It's awesome.
And see, Mary, this is one of the things that's so interesting about Matt and about the Avon program is just that this core group of really talented, smart people sort of built this thing over time. And I love to remind people of that because people are always in a hurry to want to have Avon at their program tomorrow. And I'm like, no, people, they worked at this for many, many years, really, really hard. By the way, everybody, if you're watching, thank you so much for watching. Put any questions for Matt or comments into the comments here, wherever you're watching. So Matt, I love to make that point every single time. It's like, you guys have really worked hard to get to this level and then to stay at this level.
Yeah. I don't think that, it started with Jay Webb, when he took over the program 4 years before I got there. And he was one of his mentors was Tom Dirks. He worked as a percussion instructor for Center Grove, and when he took over for Avon, he goes, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to try as hard as I can to have a program like Center Grove, and so that he ended up building a program, and and he built it with people that he wanted to be around, which was more important than any of the awards or anything like that. Be with the people you want to be with. And that's number 2 under make sure you provide great experiences and lessons and learning experiences for the students. That's at the top of everybody's list. Right. But then have fun doing it, be around the people you want to be around. And so that's what he did. And we all came together, and, one of the reasons why we love Avon is because we love each other. We want to be around each other. It's fun, so we support each other. We're a family. So
how do you keep the team going? What's the magic sauce there? in keeping that same team together for so many years, like engaging in an incredible process?
I think it's different projects. I think it's doing different kinds of shows. What do we want to do now? What's next? Always asking those kinds of questions. What music do we want to play? Whether it's with our concert bands, our marching band, or winds, or percussion, or whatever. And then we've had some, like Jay Webb and some of our middle school directors have retired, so it's replacing them with younger, energetic people that have been huge to our program recently. So I think it's just always that, and what's next? What else can we do? That was awesome. Now let's do this. So we've never done this before, and which we've asked that question a lot this winter. It's like, hey, we've never done this before. Let's do that. So and let's just do it our way, and let's have a blast doing it. So I think there's it's a lot of that.
Well, you talked a lot.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
It doesn't matter. You can go.
And there has to be a lot of collaboration and give and take and, discussion and conversation about all this stuff too. And I think you feel comfortable after all these years talking about it.
I think there's also a lot of trust. When you have Daniel Wiles on your team, and the best of the best, and it's like all right, he says this, we're like, okay, so it's
do it.
Yeah. So when you have those Richard Hinshaw and our whole staff, we just have so many great people that there's just a lot of trust there as well. It's the Bill Belichick, just do your job. Everybody's got a job, and we do it, and we trust each other, and we love each other. And so, yeah, I think there's also yes, there are a lot of collaboration. It's like, hey, what do you want to do next? What are your thoughts? Blah, 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 blah. But there's a ton of trust as well.
Yeah, what's interesting, Matt, is you're talking about creating these great experiences for your students, musically, culture-wise. Everybody wants to know how you built that culture. And we've talked about that before, everybody. You can find podcasts and conversations at our website at Marching Arts Education at the Marching Roundtable about that. But Matt, what you mentioned, I think that's most important is you guys like being around each other, and that's part of the culture and the atmosphere, right? When everybody knows that everybody's happy, and they're happy to see each other, and they're happy to be there, and they're happy to be working together, and they're all have that same work ethic, like everybody wants to be around that. And I feel like everybody wants to know, how do you build that? But I think you sort of explained it already. You get people that like each other, that do good work, and then you have fun.
And then there's our backgrounds too. Not that for anybody who doesn't have drum corps experience, not that it's a necessity, but when our background is all drum corps, and it's built in you, the excellence that drum corps offers, and we all have that. We share similar ideas about work ethic, about the culture, about trying hard for your team, about all of that. We were all taught that, in different, like Jay was with the Bridgman, Daniel was with the Cavaliers, I was with Star, and we have a lot of other drum corps experiences. Richard did some time with the Glassmen, which is cool. But drum corps is drum corps. It's teaching excellence. And then us teaching the kids what high expectations are. And not only in the excellence through music, but the expectations of being a good person, being the right way, and all of that as well. So I think, we all have that background, and that just kind of gels,
Can you get a little bit deeper into that? Because we already have a question. Thank you, everybody, for typing your questions. And if you have anything you want to ask Matt, please type it into the comments. Because Wes is asking this very thing. How do you motivate students that are content with being okay? A lot of his students, he says, are content with settling. But how do we motivate them to a higher level of excellence? So yes, you and your team know what that higher level of excellence is, but how do you convey that to the students and get them excited to want to reach for that?
I wish there were magic words, because what might shock you is that those kids are always at Avon. I mean, they've always been that. And so it's not just, all of a sudden, hey, Avon's got, all everybody's trying hard and all that, and it's perfect. It's not that. We have to work on that every single year. Now, in all fairness, there is more of the leaders that are good examples of that, so we can use them to help for sure. But yeah, it's a good question. How do you motivate them? I think when those kids see the passion within the staff, I think that helps. I think that showing them, videos of what we're kind of going after, I think that would help. And then also just sometimes, and we don't want to do this, you don't want to stop rehearsal, but sometimes it's good to be like, okay, stop for a second. This is the reason why this is not getting us to where we want to be. We're walking back to our sets, or we're, whatever, you're not coming to rehearsal, or, all of these kinds of things. And that is going to get in the way of us being great. And it will also get in the way of you being great at whatever you want to do in your life. So
Right.
if you want to be great at being, a doctor, or, mechanic, or, whatever, if you want to be great at that, you have to have enthusiasm. You have to try. Nothing. What's the Jim Valvano? And he said it, but he got it from somewhere else. But nothing great happens without enthusiasm. Nothing worth great, I'm saying it wrong, doesn't happen without enthusiasm. And so if you have those students where it's like you're not trying hard, could be a reason. We would probably take those students in and be like, hey, what's wrong? Can we help you with something? Because it could be anything. You don't know what it's like at home. So there's that. And then just always reminding the students, hey, this is our expectations. Try harder. Even the ones that are trying hard, can you try even harder? Focus harder. So we do that all the time. It's constant with us. So yeah, Avon has those students as well. I'm not sure if that helps, because it's easier said than done. And I'm not even sure if I answered the question, because I don't think about those, when I teach. It's just like, that student needs to try harder for whatever reason. And sometimes one of our other directors will connect with them. Sometimes I'll be able to do it. That's why we have a great staff. And we'll just keep working on that student, or students.
I think too, you have a lot of structure in your organization, and then kids really feel comfortable in there, and they're able to take risks, and they're able to kind of make mistakes and work through that process. Like, I was very pleased when I was talking with Tim about something educational. I said, well, all my kids raise their hands the same way when I was in the classroom. Every single kid raised their hand bicep to ear. I don't want this. I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, oh, Matt Harloff does that too. Everyone puts their pencil on the stand the correct way and the right way. And I think that has a lot to, I'm not saying it has a lot to do with it, but I'm saying it really gives kids a safe space to make a mistake and have errors, but still enjoy and feel safe and comfortable and loved by staff.
Yeah. And then there's also pride in that, when your instruments are all lined up and everybody looks the same, and all of the water coolers are all lined up, and so that creates pride, and in the group that you are, you're working with. The other thing that it's another, as you were talking, I was thinking when you are within the or concert band, it doesn't matter, you doing your job, you are also doing that for your friends that you're with. So because everybody's depending on you. So, we need all of the people, in the ensemble to do their job at the highest level that they can do. And so, that's another thing that we'll often say, it's like, when you are not trying hard, or if you're not, whatever, if there's some sort of a breakdown or an obstacle in your way, we have to figure out how to break that obstacle so you can be at your best, not only for you, but the people that are depending on you. And so when that comes into play, I sometimes when I have a bad day or a bad week or whatever, I feel as though I'm letting down not only the students, but the staff. So, they need me to be at the top of my game. And if I'm not trying hard, then I'm letting them down. So that's another thing that might be able to help.
That's fantastic advice. So you mentioned, of course, you've been at Carolina Crown 2003. What was first year?
Yep, 2003.
Okay, so you've been there a really long time. Obviously, you've already talked about the excellence of drum corps and how that helps at Avon, and you guys bringing that and having that in your own experiences. I'm curious about how you are able to do all of this stuff. Like being a head band director or a band director at all is like the world's most demanding job, and you're juggling 1,000 plates and hats and the whole thing, right? And then you're at one of the top programs in the country, so the expectation and the workload is, I know, elevated. And then here you are also doing all of this incredible work at Crown. So I was wondering if you could tell us, I know that you have a fantastic wife, a great family, you have your life set up, but can you share with us a little bit about how you are able to do both things at a high level and still keep your enthusiasm and your inspiration and your passion and your it's amazing to me, Matt.
Well, thanks, but again, you just said it, because the number one thing is I'm married to the best wife in the world who lets me do all of this. So come on.
But you've got that worked out somewhere. Listen, I've talked to spouses of band directors, and that's a hard thing. So you guys will get that figured out somehow.
I think, well, we met at Star. So, I mean, there's that, I mean, she came in when Star started the indoor thing, but that's where we met. And so that also that helps, because she was there too. She went through a summer, and she gets all of that.
Right.
So, and, I think that, I think she loves it all too. She loves drum corps. And the other thing is that she is a part of the Avon band staff. So, and she does a lot, now with our winds group, with the marching band winds, as well as our indoor winds group. So, we get to do projects together, which certainly helps, so, but you're right. I mean, the setup is kind of there for me to be lucky enough to be a part of, both groups. I mean, the other answer is that, both groups were kind of building kind of at the same time, and have gotten larger, through the course of time. And therefore, we've been able to add staff at Avon. And then, I've been able to add staff for the brass staff. I've sometimes a picture will come up of the 2003 Crown brass staff, and there's like 7 of us. So, and now there's like 407, so, so there's that, when you build that staff, then, you manage, hey, I'm going to be off tour because I have Avon, and then, or I'm going to be with Crown. So, we have some directors that can, make sure everything is good to go.
Right. You sort of set up this machine and you're helping to oversee. You don't have to do all the work yourself, which is really true of all great programs. We have a really interesting question about this that Robert asked. I'm going to ask this for him. What was it like in terms of pedagogy and general focus of your team in 2003 with Crown when you were building that culture? You just talked about that. You were building both cultures at the same time. When you were building the culture at Crown, what was it like in terms of those things with a different skill level of members compared to what it's like today? I understand that you used a lot of what you learned at Star, but I wonder how you adapted when starting at Crown. That's interesting to look back at that. And I don't know if that's the same at Avon or if it's different. I'd be interested to know that too.
The first thing is I remember that what I remember about the summer of 2003 was I spent some time on the road with Crown, and then I come back to Avon, and for band camp or whatever, and we played a concert F, and I was like, oh, thank God, tone quality. And so I was at Crown, and then I came back to Avon. I was like, oh, high school kids, thank you. That summer of Crown was, I mean, our goal was to fill the line by finals, which we did by finals. And so, yeah, you know, the answer to the question is that the pedagogy never changes. You might be surprised if I say that. But the method and the technique and all of that, whether it's 2003 Crown or 2025 or, you know, whatever, the technique is the same. It's the same thing. It's keep it simple. The talent is different. So, you know, we're able to play crazy things and do all of this and ask ourselves, okay, what's the next best thing, you know, that we've never done before. And it's the same pedagogy for Avon as well. It's keep it simple. Make it so that the music works with the visual, and it's easy for the kids to understand, because, you know, whether it's a freshman in high school or a 21-year-old in Crown, you know, the technique is the same. It's understand it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. You know, do whatever it takes to give them the skills to perform what is being asked of them to perform. And so it's just, you know, it's just at a different level, you know, now. I mean, Crown 2003 and what it is now, you know, it's just the talent is different. So they're older, you know, they're music majors. They, you know, they're that. So we can play all of that, you know, and even then is getting, you know, easy, you know, where sometimes it's hard to be music. It's hard to like come in soft, you know, when you're spread out on the field, you know, that we'll sometimes work on that more than the you know, same thing with Avon, you know, it's with Avon, you know, you have the same age kids. It's always the same. And yes, you could develop the talent and all of that, but then, you know, that top flute player will graduate, and, you know, so then what do you have now? But it's the same technique. It's, you know, how does the music fit with the visual, and make it so it's easy for the kids to understand, and therefore easy for them to perform. So might be a shocking answer to the question, but, you know, really the technique it doesn't change really. It evolves because the activity evolves. So, and my mentors who taught Garfield cadets in the 80s and came to Star, you know, it's that fundamental. So, and now it obviously the activity is different, you know, so you adapt to that and you find new ways to make it easier. So, but the technique is always the same.
Right. How you play and how you create those sounds is universal, and you figured that out, and you just keep teaching that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so interesting that you use the word easy, like, you know, quite a bit in that last conversation. And I think some people are probably thinking nothing they do is easy, or it doesn't seem easy, but really what you're saying is that it's how you teach it, how you present it to the kids. And right. I mean, it's so
how you make it, how you can make them understand it, because they're doing multiple things at the same time. I often, you know, I could never play a drum set, but when you watch the best drum set players in the world, they're able to do so many things all at the same time. And how did they get there? I don't know that answer, but they know how to do all of it. They know how it all goes together. Now for me, I would be like, okay, the bass drum is on one, it's right here. And then I do this, you know, but trying to do it all at the same time, they probably look at it differently, because they look at it how it all fits together, and they can do that. Now I'm not a drum set player, so I could have said something totally wrong, but you know, how I relate that for, you know, the Crown Brass or Avon or whatever, it's, you're asked to do all these visual things. So you have to set it up so that it's easy for them to understand, so they can do all of that together. Whether it's body and playing, or marching and playing, or, you know, however it is, you know, how it works with the music. You know, that the hardest things sometimes are when you're asking kids to do body to a melody that they're not playing. So, you know, for example, low brass sometimes don't have a melody, and yet they're doing the body that works with the melody. So sometimes that becomes difficult, and it takes a little bit longer for them to figure out. But, you know, if you're able to put whatever is being asked visually to the music, or music to there, then it does look hard, but it can be taught to be, you know, it can be taught so it's easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a philosophy. You know, it's a philosophical pedagogy. It's very interesting.
Keep it simple. Just keep it simple. You know, when you do that, you'll end up creating excellence.
And 1,000 million reps.
Oh yeah, there's that one too. Again, yep. Keep it simple and reps. For sure.
You know, Matt, expectations are really high for your work. And I know that you're a very competitive person, and you want to be really successful, competitive with your. No, not you.
I'm wearing a Yankee hat. Baseball starts soon. Me competitive? No.
But I mean, seriously, I think that that's hard. I mean, I think that's very difficult for people to sort of manage. And you're like, you have a lot of expectations on your shoulders. And I actually think that you do. I know that it weighs on you sometimes. I've sensed that from you, from some conversations, but I think you do a really good job of somehow managing all of that. And so I think when people get to the point where they're in the middle of a program that is burning on every cylinder and being very, very successful, like both of these programs we're talking about, how do you take care of yourself in the middle of those expectations and difficulties and pressures?
I don't. That's the problem. I don't.
I mean, we've already mentioned you have this spectacular wife and a good family life and a lot of friends around you supporting you. I get that part. Is there anything else? I know you make frequent trips to Disney, which is one of my stress relievers.
Yeah.
Anything else? Do you want to address it? We don't have to talk about this.
I do think it's something that I need to do better at, for sure. Like, you know, there, you know, in terms of being healthy and stuff, you know, there's that, which, you know, I'm got to try to figure out, because it can be very demanding, and there's a lot of pressure, and really, I'm not sure that you all, as a competitive person, yeah, you always want to try to go out, and you always want to do well, and all of that. But it's also, you're always going to win in our world, because you're going to provide kids with great experiences and great memories. So you're that has to, and when you want the highest score, when you want to be first place and all that, yes, we all want that, and I get that, but the most important thing is that the kids get great memories and experiences, and so with that, you're always going to win. So you have to look at it. Yes, I need those reminders as well. There's no doubt about it. You know, but yes, trying to find time, like Disney's my happy place. The hardest, I mean, if we want to go there, we could definitely go there, because I'm not afraid to talk about it. It is a challenge for me. And I'll tell you the story, because it is spring break. So when we're recording this in spring break, and I'm usually in Disney during spring break, and this year I'm not. But one of the things Susie and I talked about was, you know, it's hard for me to go to Disney World, and yes, I can turn my phone off, which I did over the holidays. But you can't turn your brain off, and you know, it's hard to be present where you are, and I have a huge problem with this, and I need to try to figure out ways to get better at it. But I guess I want to tell this story. So this was a number of years ago. I was having an end of year evaluation with the principal. Most of you teachers know exactly what I'm talking about. You have evaluations with the principals, and here at Avon, there is an end of year meeting where you go over the evaluations and there's questions and whatever. It happens all the time. So I was going through this. I don't remember the year. It was before the pandemic, though. And I was in the principal's office, and we were going through everything, and it was fine, and all this stuff. And his computer was on, and there was the little ding every time an email happened. Ding, ding. And so afterwards, he said, "Do you have any questions for me?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "In our conversation here, which has been about 20 minutes, your email dinged a good 10, 12 times." And he just sat there. It was like, "Where's this going?" And I said, "You probably know half of what those emails are, and you probably know, and you're probably not looking forward to what those emails have to say." And so I said, "How do you deal with that when you go home?" I said, "I don't want to know what those emails say. How do you deal with that when you go home?" And he says, "I don't. It's always on my mind. It's always there. It can't. I wish it could stay here at school, but it can't. So, I do the best I can, and I just go with it." And at that point, I was just like, wow. I mean, principals nowadays in school, it's a hard job. It really is. Our principals at Avon, they go through a lot, and it's a tough gig. And so yeah, you carry a lot of baggage. And Tim, I'm not sure if that's where you wanted to go, but
it's a great
no, because
I didn't want to hash into it too much at all, but I do feel like it's nice to know that you're not alone in that, and that's your point, right? It's like that everybody has to deal with this sort of undercurrent, and I think I'm glad that you're doing okay, and I want you to continue to figure out how to take care of yourself, because I just think it's remarkable what you do in a year, Matt, at such a level. I just think that it's exceptional, and I don't really know how you do it, but I'm glad you do.
You get up, you go to school, you do the best you can, you come home. That's and you're around great people. So and there's a lot of things that I need to exercise better. I need to drop some weight. I need to be healthier, and I will admit that for sure. And then there's also the trying to get away, trying to give yourself a break, which is so important. And it has been a huge part of my life with Susie and our kids. It has been having the Disney countdown. And now that the kids are older, it's harder for me, because when our kids were younger and we would go to Disney World, it was, the stress was the lines to get on Space Mountain, and it's like, let's go, come on, we got to get in Space Mountain, let's go. And, now and those vacations were fast. You were tired when you got home from vacation. Now, if we go on a cruise or, we go to Disney World, there's a lot less of that. Susie wants to ride Guardians of the Galaxy 6 times. I can only do it once because the world spins in my head for a while. So, I'm a one and done on that one. But no, I mean, it slows down, which makes you think a little bit more. And sometimes that can be a bad thing. so
no, I get that.
You think about ways to make everything, the stresses of, and by the way, the stresses are never, are we going to win or whatever? It's the stresses are, creating, great products for our students and having everybody have a great time, and then dealing with some of the things, that you might need to deal with to help students. So those kinds of things, kind of weigh on you a little bit. So
yeah, for what it's worth, we talked to Rick Subel and Andrea Forch from Paramount Winter Guard last week, and he said the exact same thing. He said the stress for him is, am I doing everything I can do for these performers, right, to help them have the best possible experience, perform at the highest level? It wasn't. We talked about that same sort of competitive thing. So, and I totally go ahead, Mary.
And Michael Gaines said it a few weeks prior as well.
Yeah, everybody's kind of said that. And this is something I want to point out, everybody, is like the great people at the highest level, this is the way they're thinking, right? They're not thinking about how can I beat whoever. They're thinking, how can I give these students a great experience? And Matt, I love when you talk about the stuff of the work ethic and expertise and level of excellence that you're teaching them that they can do, they're going to take into life, no matter what it is they're doing. And that's what we all love about this activity. And thank you for doing that for those kids.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes, you have different kind of personalities, because sometimes for me, like, I don't like it when I'm in a position, and we all know, all band directors are in these positions where decisions, people aren't going to like everything that you decide. That's just the way it is, but I hate that. And I want to make everyone happy all the time. And I feel bad when I don't accomplish that. So it's just a person, and some might be like, oh, that's really neat. But I wish that I had thicker skin to be able to, like, I know this is what's best for the kids, and this is what we're going to do. And, I don't care about anybody else and what I care. And then sometimes adds stress, and it has nothing to do with winning any medal or whatever. It has to, you want to run a band program or Crown Brass or whatever, you want to run that where you make everybody happy all the time. And that's an impossible task. And I realize that it's just, I never give up on trying to make that happen when, that you're going to fail at that. There's no doubt about it. So that is another thing that weighs on me a lot, so.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned that, because I had a series of conversations with Scott Chandler a few years ago. Everybody can find those conversations under courses at marchingartseducation.com. But he talked about how, as the program coordinator, he has this big picture in mind that everybody else doesn't have. And everybody's always coming to him with these suggestions about change this. What about this? And he's the one that has to go, no, sorry, but there are things you don't know. You don't have this perspective. And I feel like that's sort of what you have, right? Is in both of these programs, you're one of those people that has the bigger picture. And it's hard for people to understand that, but I get that. So when we came in,
people like Scott, who's genius, and he's an artist. So Daniel is an artist. These guys are artists, and so yeah, they want to make everyone happy as well. I totally get that. So in what they create, and right. So I get that one a lot. Mine's a little bit of a different kind of a situation because it's more administrative, and dare I say political as well. But as artists, absolutely, you want everyone to love what you're doing, and that I get that a lot. And those people, when everybody loves, and this is the thing that I wish that everybody else would know, whether it's an administrator or parents, or maybe even in the case of Daniel or Scott or Michael Gaines or Wes Cartwright or whatever, is that when those people, whether they are creators of the show or administrators, directors, or whatever, they will do a better job when they have more confidence. Mm-hmm. So, like, I will do a better job when I have more confidence. And so, that I wish others would realize that and say, it's like, I'll do a better job for your kid if I have more confidence. And when I have that, then I'm going to be at my best. So, wow. And it'll be fun. So now how do you, that's, how do you get that? That's a toughie sometimes.
To the point you made a minute ago too, man, I've always been a gym guy, right? But that has been my source of stress of dealing with a lot of the stuff you're talking about. Like I've often thought rather than punching a parent which I would never do, of course, like I'm bench pressing it out, So like I had that outlet, and I would encourage everybody, find something, badminton, macrame, walking around the block, swimming, whatever, Mary, you're in the pool every day getting your laps in, and that's a stress releaser, right? So I feel like we all need to find that thing, whatever it is, golf, tennis, whatever. Yeah. So Matt, when we came in tonight, I asked you to think of a couple things, 2 or 3 things that you wish you had known when you started your career. We may already have addressed these things, I don't know, but I wanted to ask you, what are some things that you wish you had known that if you could go back and tell young Matt at the beginning, you wish that you had known?
Yeah, I've thought about it, and I don't know if I have an answer, because 30 years, things happen so fast now.
Yeah.
I mean, in our time on Earth, it's not really that long. People say, your life is short. You're right. I mean, we only do 80 to 100 laps around the sun. That's all we do. And but the amount, like, I was thinking about that, Tim, when you sent that email, and so I was thinking, man, 30 years ago, there were no cell phones. And that's something that people say, like, I should be like 90 years old, saying those things. Like, I don't consider myself old, but we're getting old faster. And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of this stuff, the technology, AI, all of these things that we're starting to have to deal with. Like, I thought, man, if I went back in time 30 years ago and be like, hey, by the way, there's going to be these cell phone things everybody's going to have. Social media is going to, like, run the world, and we're going to have a pandemic. Good luck to you. Have a good one. Like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have no idea what I would tell myself. I guess because this next part, which I may not, my generation might not deal with as much as the next generation, but the whole AI thing and what does that mean? I have no clue. But 30 years from now, we have no idea what. I'm sure the smartest people on the planet know, but I mean, us normal people don't. We have no clue what the world is going to be. I would just say that do whatever it takes to make sure that no matter what comes your way, that students, their experiences and whatever you can offer them to help them be successful, that is always the top priority. Don't let anything else do your best to not allow anything else to get in the way of that. Because that's our job. We need to make sure that, if we're teachers, our job is to make sure that the next generation is set up for success. And so that always, and man, a lot of questions in the world of education now, right? And so that's where I'm turning into that guy that when 30 years ago, I was looking at those people that are in their last 10 years or so, and it's just like, boy, I'm not going to turn into that. Oh, right. I'm there. I'm totally that. And it's like, man, I'm scared for you guys. I'm scared. It's like I'm turning into that, and because I don't know. But I guess that's I'm not going back and talking to myself because I wouldn't know what to say. I would have no clue what to say. But if I would. Like, if we're talking about the young, you are a first, second year, third year teacher, the most important thing is have the students leave, and 30 years from now, make sure they're talking about that trip that you took or that experience that you gave them. Or I learned this from Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so who taught me excellence. And that's why I'm great. That's why I'm good. And this lawyer is great at what they do because they were in band, and they understood that. And I that would be my recommendation for someone that's a second or third year teacher, to always do that. So, because man, we have no clue it's just going so fast,
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. Mary, I love that every single time we talk to somebody who's really successful and really smart, they always say the same things, right? They're always talking about taking care of their students and giving the students the priority in their thinking. And like we hear this over and over and over from every single person who's wildly successful. I just want to point it out.
Yeah, because aren't kids worth teaching? I mean, I want someone to say my name in 30 years, I had a great experience with my teacher. I want that for sure. I think
it matters.
People will be saying your name, Matt. I mean, even 20 years ago from 2003 Carolina Crown, they probably knew what excellence was. They have that expectation for themselves all the time. I mean, drum corps really teaches you that expectation and excellence. I mean, I can do things quickly because of drum corps. I can do so many things because of the experiences I had marching in color guards and drum corps. So you're giving them that. It's such a great gift.
And try to do it and sometimes I fail. We all do, but try to do it with having a blast and with joy, and that will help them remember it even more. So if you could do that, and I think that's another reason why it's been fun with Crown or Avon. It's we've had a lot of laughs. It's been, and then the kids see that. So the kids see you having fun and having a great time and loving it all, and that's important to them as well. And so, teaching all of these skills and having a great time doing, like Walt Disney wanted us to do. Disney, you teach lessons through entertainment, and all of his movies, there's always a lesson in there somewhere. And so if you can do that, have fun, that they're just going to remember that even more.
Yeah, Matt, there's a lot of questions in the comments about, well, I'm a first year doing this and I'm doing this. What's your advice? What's your advice? And you're giving it to them, right? Here it is, everybody. Like, work hard, have that excellence, teach your members how to do that, but then do it with joy and fun and with partnership, love being what you're doing. Matt, this is the culture everybody wants, but you have to bring that to it, right? Let them see that you like doing it. You're having fun. It's fun to work really hard at something, like if you can teach that to somebody, they're set for life.
We had Jerry Junkin come in to work with our Wind Symphony a couple weeks ago, and it was a 3-hour session, and there are just those people, the Jerry Junkins, Dr. Tim, where they have these long sessions, and before you know it, it's gone, like it's done. They have those skills, and why? Because it's a blast. That's why, and when I go to Disney World, the time flies by. So because we're having fun, and you stop worrying and you stop looking at the clock and you just enjoy it. And when that happens, then, our kids learned with Jerry Junkin, and, we had a blast doing it, and they'll remember it for sure.
Man, this is such good stuff. Okay, so you've mentioned Disney a number of times. I want to know.
I'm not there.
I know you're not there.
Know me.
I'm really sorry that you're not there. So if I had the magic powers to wave my hands and boom, plop you right down in the middle of a park, where would you be?
Right now, it would be when they redid the front part of Epcot, right next to the Walt Disney statue.
I was going to say Epcot.
So I'm telling you, when that opened, and that whole area is new and all that, and there's like these chairs and there's more trees and there's the music and all that. For right now, if you're asking me right now, where I'm 52 years old, that's where I'm going to be.
But that's a peaceful, chill, happy spot for you.
and you could, and yeah, I mean, you could bring work, you could do like, it is, I mean, you could, like, Michael Klesch lives in Tampa now. So like, there's going to be a day where he's going to send me a picture of him in that spot, like working on Crown music, he'll bring it. Oh yeah. When Tyson was in Full Sail, and then this was just before the pandemic hit, there was times where he would bring his homework to Magic Kingdom, and then there's that little kind of the grassy area right on the other side of Casey Corner where you're looking at the castle. Yeah, he would bring his homework and do his homework, and right in front of the castle.
Oh yeah, that's for us park people. That's part of the magic of it. Is you're just comfortable there. You're happy, and
home.
I mean, again, this is what we're trying to create for our students too.
Yeah, it's home.
Okay, so my second question is, I'm going to magically put you ready to step on to your favorite attraction anywhere in the world. What would you want to step onto? I know that's a big ask.
What, a ride?
Yeah, what ride do you want to be stepping onto?
Oh, Flight of Passage. Yeah, Flight of Passage is awesome. I love that.
It's pretty great.
I mean, I'm no offense to. I mean, everybody's like Guardians of the Galaxy, and yes, that's a great ride. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And so is Tron. Tron is awesome. So no disrespect to that. But I do Flight of Passage. Because it is done so well, and you have the smells, and now Guardians of the Galaxy music is also rules, by the way, but Flight of Passage music is also a 10. So give me that one all day. Now, the other thing would be, like, I would also go into see the live performances. So I would go to Finding Nemo. I would go to Festival of the Lion King. I would spend all afternoon at the Voices of Liberty. So so I would do that as well. So that's another one. I wish they would bring back and I know you remember this, the street performers at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, they were
I wish they would bring that back. I loved I thought they were so good, because you never know, and I'm sure they loved it, but you never know what was going to happen that day. I mean, they have their sets they were going to do. They have their bit that they're going to do, but you also have people walking by that could be a part of that bit, and you never know what they're going to say or do. So there was some improv to it.
A lot.
And so there were times where Susie and I we wouldn't, now that our kids are older, we would spend a lot more time watching that. Now it was just like, hey, can we stay at least 5 minutes before we go to Tower of Terror? So just to watch it a little bit. But I wish they would bring that back.
I love the costumes too.
Yeah.
What?
Their costumes.
Yeah, it was great.
That's a real loss. That's a real loss that they're not there, because that sort of interactive improv experience
and the whole movie thing, it was just it's great. I wish that I hope they bring that back. I think that was a pandemic thing.
Yeah, maybe. Well, perhaps, I don't know.
I hope they bring that
There's
back.
not nearly as much live entertainment at the parks as there should be, in my opinion, but that's a whole nother thing. But I tell you what, Matt, living in Orlando, I got to know, I know a lot of those performers, and they're just like so much fun to be around. I mean, like they're these big personalities that are ripping all the time. To get a party with that crowd is a really good time. Yeah.
Well, next time you talk to them, tell them that they have some fans here in Indiana that wish they were back too.
I mean, if we're talking about Magic Wand, bring something back, I want the Future Core back. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I worked I worked every one of my vacations around seeing the Future Core at every set. Yeah. Like, I can't, I mean, really. Okay, that's how old I am, everybody. But that was the highlight of Disney for me.
Bunch of kids Googling Future Core.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, surely. Okay, if you don't know what that is, you need to find that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these are people that are now like at the top of our activity too, by the way. Those performers are still super involved. So
imagine what that would be with, the drum corps kids of today.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd be a lot of jumping around in the middle of crowds. I don't know about that.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, well, we need to start wrapping this up. Thank you for answering all this variety of questions. I didn't get to every single one that anybody asked, but everybody's loving what you're saying, and I really, really appreciate it. So what do you want to leave everybody with? Closing this whole thing out, final thoughts to wrap up. I think you've kind of made your points really strongly, I think, Matt, and I really appreciate it. Well, wait a minute. Mary, I'm going to ask you first. Mary, what do you want to say as we're closing?
Wow. No, so time after time, after all these weeks that we've having the discussion with I'm calling the greats era, it's always about a process. It's always about teaching instead of the product, which that to me is just music to my ears, because we've been pushing that for a long time. And I love how that is working and giving great experience to kids, great fun experiences to kids. It's so important and so valuable and creates really rich and beautiful memories for them. And I've loved all of this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody, if you're watching this, please let everybody know that it's here. The recording is always, it's on our YouTube channels. And by the way, we have more of these coming up in the next couple of months. We're talking to Michael Rayford, Lindsay Vento, and Becca Anderson. And if you don't know those names, you need to get it on the Google and get that going.
I feel like we need to talk to Daniel again.
What?
We need to talk to Daniel again.
Well, sure. I'll reach out. I mean, the list is endless. But Matt, we've been really appreciative of really busy, talented people like yourself saying yes to have these conversations. This has been really awesome. What do you want to say as we're closing it out loud?
Oh, well, thanks for asking me. It really is an honor. I mean, to be considered. You're talking some of my heroes too, Scott Chandler's and the Michael Gaines, and
Sure.
you know, those guys are my heroes as well, and huge fans of them. So thanks for asking me. Hopefully, I said some things that could help, and Tim, thanks for keeping on this website. You know, talking about how long have you had this website up now?
Well, we started the roundtable in, was it 2011? Beginning of 2011. So I guess we're on year 14.
Yeah, you're approaching 15. And it's a great tool to help, you know, and I think the more that the performing arts can stay connected to help each other, you know, I think the better. So, you know, thank you for doing it, and you know, keeping these kinds of things going so we can stay connected. I think that makes us stronger, you know, and
awesome.
when things are when help is needed, for sure, or advice, or whether it's how to tune your clarinets, or you know, how to connect with kids, or how do I keep my program alive, you know. So I mean, some of them are more intense than others, but you know, the more you could stay connected in this family of people, that, you know, there's always people that can help. So thanks for providing all of this, and stay connected, everybody. Do that.
Well said.
Love it. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Matt, you were awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for watching. Appreciate it. Thanks.